Thanks for tuning in. Ham Talk Live will be on the air shortly. Please stand by. Thanks for tuning in. Ham Talk Live will be on the air shortly. Please stand by. This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you by Tower Electronics. For connectors, cables, and more, call 920-435-2973 or visit pl-259.com. And by ICOM. Heard it, worked it, logged it. Visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur for more information about ICOM radios.
It's Ham Radio.
Good evening, everyone. It's time for Ham Talk Live, episode number 226. New kits for CW, recorded live on Thursday, September 3rd, 2020. I'm your host, Neil Rapp, WB9VPG. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Ham Talk Live. Tonight we're joined by Joe Eisenberg, K0NEB, and we'll take your calls live in just a few minutes. Last week here on the show, RJ Bragg, I'm used to just calling him RJ, but RJ Bragg, WY7AA, was here to talk about the Come and Get Wyoming special event coming up here in just a few days. If you missed that, you can listen over at hamtalklive.com anytime or on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. And you can catch us on WTWW on the rebroadcast Saturday afternoons at about 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and the frequency for that is 5085 a.m. Again, WTWW is Saturday afternoons about 3:30. It's the rebroadcast. So we're not live, so you won't be able to call in during that show, but you can listen over there, and hope you do. Well, get your questions ready to go. If you're listening to us live on Thursday night, you can give us a call after the interview. Let me give you the phone number so you have it ready to go. Not time to call just yet, but have it ready to go. It's 859-982-7373. 859-982-7373. 7373. That's the phone number. We'll open up the phone lines a little bit later in the show, and you can tweet us whenever you want, because I'll just check that as I can throughout the show, and that's at Ham Talk Live over on Twitter. And if you're on Spreaker, you can type a comment in, and that'll come up as well. So I'll be back with Joe right after this word from Tower Electronics right here on Ham Talk Live.
Jerry, what's up, man? I haven't seen you at Sunbucks in a while. I used to see you every morning getting coffee. What's up?
Well, I can't afford Sunbucks 5 days a week anymore. I had to spend my money on PL259s. You know, those antenna projects I've been meaning to do. I had to do them before my HOA finds out I have antennas.
That's too bad, Jerry. I miss seeing you and catching up over coffee. You should get your PL259s from Tower Electronics. They have great stuff. Jerry, you're back. Oh, QRM Heterodyne Frappuccino. That's a good choice. How's it going? Did you get all those antennas up before the HOA police showed up?
Yeah, I got them all done. Thanks for telling me about Tower Electronics. Now I can have my coffee. I just saved a bunch of money on my PL259s by switching to Tower Electronics.
Don't get caught without PL259s. Visit Tower Electronics online at pl-259.com or at a Hamfest near you. Or give them a call at 920-435-2973. And be sure to pick up some power poles, adapters, and cables too.
You're listening to Ham Talk Live with Neil Rapp. Yesterday, my XYL said she'd leave me if I didn't give up ham radio. Over.
Welcome back to Ham Talk Live. Thanks to Scott and Jill at Tower Electronics for sponsoring the show tonight. They help bring you Ham Talk Live each and every week. You can visit them online at pl-259.com. And back with us tonight is Joe Eisenberg, K0NEB from Lincoln, Nebraska, and is well known for his kit building expertise. He is well known for his picture shows of Hamvention as well. He's the longtime kit building editor at CQ Magazine and often makes his presentations and kit builds at Hamfest conventions and club meetings. And Joe started off at an early age back in 1969 as a ham. And, of course, he's the guy at Dayton with the Dr. Seuss hat. If nothing else. So, Joe, welcome back to the show. It's been a little while, actually.
Yes, it has, Neil. I thought it was only a few weeks ago, and it turns out it was March. So I'm glad to be back on. And Scott and Jill from Tower Electronics, I highly recommend them because I tell people to have plugs, jacks, connectors, and so forth for their kits that they build, and they're the place to go.
All right. Well, there you have it. They are not out on the Hamfest tour again. I got a couple of them in, and then nothing going here. So hopefully we'll have some Hamfest. But pl-259.com. Don't let that stop you. Well, we're talking a little CW here tonight. At least to start off with. We'll see how time goes here, but we're talking about a couple of CW kits tonight. So. You can do this stuff. You're a former professional broadcaster. So go for it. Tell us about this first CW kit.
Okay, Neil. The first one is it's a Morse code practice kit, and it's put out by the North Fulton Amateur Radio League, which is from the Atlanta metro area. North side of Atlanta, and nfarl.org is their website. And they sell these kits, I think, for about $10. And it's got 2 coin cells in it that power it, 1 transistor, a little beeper, an LED, a switch, a couple of resistors, and a touch button and a jack. And that's pretty much it. And it's designed to fit exactly inside an Altoids tin. And it has a jack you can plug in an outside key, so you don't have to use the touch key. But it does fit in an Altoids tin, and it looks wonderful. And I'll be featuring this kit in the October edition of CQ Magazine. And it's a great kit for several reasons. One, it's an easy way to learn code. And number 2, it is very, very simple to build. Yes, you're soldering parts on a circuit board, but most are very easy to put on. And it goes together definitely in less than an hour. And it's ideal if you're doing a group kit building experience because it's great for first-time builders because the parts are spaced quite a ways apart. So you're not going to have so much trouble in dealing with a crowded circuit board. Very low cost, very easy to put together. I'd say the most difficult part is when you mount it into an Altoids tin. If you decide to do that, you have to drill like 5 holes in it, 4 for the mounting screws and 1 for the external key jack. But if you're doing a group and you have somebody who's got a drill press or something and can make a template, they can drill these very quickly. And Altoids tins are really kind of tricky to drill. So what I did was I used a punch to make an indentation, then used a Dremel to pop the first little hole in there, and then a regular drill to make it the right size. And that seems to do it the best without tearing that very thin aluminum that's in the Altoids tin. But like I said, you can just close the lid and everything, and everybody thinks it's just Altoids, and you open it up and there's your kit. And I'm going to turn it on. Like I said, it runs on 2 of these coin cell batteries like in your remote controls. And we'll see if we can make it beep. And there you go. It lights up a blue LED, and there's also a red LED on the touch module. Now, the touch module has a couple surface mount parts on it, but those are already done for you. All you have to do is solder a 3-pin connector to that touch module and then solder that to the board. So it's not difficult at all, and it's a great deal for a first-time kit builder. So once again, the North Fulton Amateur Radio League from Fulton County, Georgia, nfarl.org, and I'm pretty sure it's around $10. And from what I hear, they're already getting orders based on just my social media mentions of this kit, and it will be in the October edition of CQ Magazine. So,
all right, there we go. And I actually was visiting down there, and Audrey and Jack, a couple of our Yoda kids, are in the North Fulton Club. So that's a cool little kit for
and it's a great one. And like I said, if you're doing a group kit build experience or something, that's pretty much an ideal kit for that. The next one is called the Morse 32, which is at the opposite end of the spectrum in terms of complexity, in terms of Morse code trainers. And this one costs $100 roughly. It's actually 85 euros, and it goes up and down $1 or so with currency fluctuations when you order it and put it on PayPal. But what this does is it has an OLED display, and it's based on an Arduino Nano, and it will let you use it as a regular keyer and keyer radio. It'll let you send with a straight key or with paddles, and it will decode what you're sending. You can also plug a receiver into it, and it will decode what you're hearing, which is pretty sweet. It comes with paddles. They're touch paddles. It's just made from printed circuit board material and plugs right into the kit. You can plug headsets into it so you can listen quietly. And it has 2 antennas. One's a tiny little curly Q, and one's a bigger kind of a whip. And what that's for is it lets you transmit and receive CW wirelessly. One is called LoRa, which is low radiation UHF, and it's in the 433 megahertz band, but it's license free because of the power and the FCC definition of the device. It's basically a Part 15 device, but it also has a full power Wi-Fi transceiver that works in the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi band. And so you can actually connect it to your network like at home. And then if you open a hole in the firewall according to the instructions for a particular port, you can actually transceive with somebody else on the internet outside of your network. So you can actually, with the Morse 32, you can transmit and receive Morse code through the internet to somebody else who has another unit like this. And I say, you look at it, and if you ever saw my pictures of this thing, it's immensely complex. There's lots of surface mount parts and stuff, and guess what? You don't have to put any of those on the board. All you got to do is the through-hole parts. How many parts do you have to solder? 11. No toroids to wind or anything. I'd say the most difficult is dealing with the display because the very thin, fragile glass is used for the OLED display. And so you have to be really, 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 really careful to not crack it. And so there's a few tricks you can use to get the plug-in strips lined up with the main board and then solder them properly. And I go through that in an article that I'm writing for the November edition of CQ Magazine. We'll cover this kit. It has a lot of different functions. Like I said, it will send random characters to you, random English words, and random normal CW abbreviations like CUAGN and stuff like that, or RST. It will send you all sorts of abbreviations that we use on CW, and you can copy those, and you can look on the screen to check your work. And you can even scroll back several lines. I found that out. You power this thing with a micro USB type cell phone charger, and that puts in more than enough current to run this thing. You can also get a small battery pack at a lot of hobby shops for these micro-size quadcopter drones. There's a particular style of pack that you can plug right into this. Now, what I did was I made my kit in such a way that I have that plug-in there, and so I can plug in the battery pack and power it if I wanted to, if I had one. But for right now, since I don't have it, the wire just sits there underneath the case, and I just plug in a normal cell phone charger. But if you have one of those little battery packs for a cell phone to charge it, you can actually power this kit from one of those as well, as long as you just have a micro USB output. So that's the Morserino 32, and that comes all the way from Vienna, Austria in Europe. And if you order it, it can take anywhere from 1 week to 3 weeks for it to get through the mail, depending on what's going on with the pandemic. So, Neil, there's two kits, believe it or not, with one having just a couple more parts than the other, but being super, super simple and inexpensive, and another one that's 10 times the cost and about 10 times the features, but only 11 parts to solder.
All right. Sounds like a couple of great kits and some good practice over the internet with the more expensive one. You can just get on Wi-Fi and do some practice without all the band noise and everything to get trained, and then you can start tackling the noise. So some excellent choices there, and look forward to seeing those in CQ Magazine coming up soon in the next couple of months. So sounds good. All right. Well, we're going to take a break here, and we'll come back. We've got a couple of questions for you already, and we've got some other stuff that we're going to talk about. So we'll do that. Kit. And yeah, we've got a bonus kit to talk about tonight, and some other stuff going on with Joe. So we'll come back and do all of that after this word from ICOM America right here on Ham Talk Live. Get out and be active with ICOM's new IC705 and its optional multi-function backpack. The IC705 is your perfect QRP companion, as you have base station features and functionality at the tip of your fingers in a portable package covering HF, 6 meters, 2 meters, and 70 centimeters. This compact rig weighs in at 1 kilogram or just over 2 pounds, with RF direct sampling for most of the HF band and IF sampling for frequencies above 25 megahertz, and a large 4.3-inch color touch screen with live band scope and waterfall. It runs 5 watts with a BP272 battery, 10 watts with 13.8 volts DC. You have sideband CW, AM, FM, as well as full D-Star functions. The touch screen, micro USB connector, Bluetooth, wireless LAN, integrated GPS with antenna and GPS logger. The micro SD card slot, speaker mic comes standard and supports QRP operations. And the perfect accessory for your IC705 is the optional backpack, LC192, with a special compartment for your IC705 and room for accessories for soda activations or just a day in the park. The IC705 has now received FCC certification, and we expect product to be shipping to dealers by the end of September. Visit ICOMAmerica.com/amateur for more information on ICOM radios.
Join the conversation. Give us a call at 859-982-7373. Again, the number to call is 859-982-7373. Or, if you'd rather type than talk, tweet us at Ham Talk Live. Now, here's Neil Rapp with more Ham Talk Live.
Here's the snap. Rapp takes the rig. He breaks through the pileup. He's on 80. Now 40. Now 20. 15. 10. 2 meters. Touchdown. Ham Talk Live.
Soon you'll know the rhythm of the code. A dit is a dot. A da is a dash. The rhythm of the code. Alpha. Da. Bravo. Charlie.
Welcome back to Ham Talk Live. ICOM America's online at icomamerica.com/amateur. Make sure to check them out and check out Ham Talk Live on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can see what's going on with the show and all that kind of thing. And, of course, our website, hamtalklive.com, where this show comes your way every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And it's time for your calls now. So if you have a question for Joe, give us a call right now at 859-982-7373. Again, 859-982-7373. Or tweet us at Ham Talk Live. We have some tweets already and some comments on Spreaker. If you're on there, you can type into the comments. And if you're listening to us on WTWW or on the podcast edition, we're not live. So sorry you won't be able to call in. All right. Well, we've got some things to talk about. But speaking of ICOM, you've got a new ICOM.
Yes, I do. Thanks to the fast service from HRO, I have an IC 9700 in my shack. Ooh. And just starting to get things like the local repeaters and simplex frequencies and stuff into the memories. And then I'm going to start loading the satellite memories here shortly. And we're going to play around a bit and do some 2-meter sideband and so forth and FT8 during the VHF contest. Really look forward to it. And the 9700 is a great radio.
Oh, it is. I'm drooling over one. I'm just thinking for satellites, built-in recorder and everything all in one box. It's just, must acquire at some point.
And if you know how to run a 7300, it's the same.
Oh yeah, so. Yep. It is. It's the same, and just love it. So sounds good. Well, we've got some things to talk about here, but we have some tweets and some comments. So let's jump into those. And again, phone lines are open. 859-982-7373. So give us a call, and we'll get your questions answered here by Joe Eisenberg, K0NEB, the kit building editor from CQ Magazine, joining us tonight. So let's see. First of all, John W4USF wants to know, what has been your most favorite kit to build?
Actually, the favorite one I had was probably one of the most well-documented instructions and everything of any kit that I built, and that is the Elecraft KX1. I did that several years ago. It has a very high parts density, so it's definitely not a beginner's kit. But it was my favorite because it is so explicit in the directions and very much step by step and stage by stage. You can test it along the way. And just an excellent CW transceiver. Of course, they don't make that one anymore, but the KX1 was my favorite to build.
Okay, there you go, John. And so maybe you can build one. All right. Brett, WY7BG, wants to know, do you have a kit for making a red and white striped hat?
Well, I could probably do that on the 3D printer, but it would be rigid, number one. And number two, I don't have dual extruders in my printer, so I can't do it with my 3D printer. I can only do one color at a time.
Well, you could do white and then put the red stripes with red electrical tape or something.
Yeah, probably could, or paint it or mark it somehow. But yeah, I don't have dual extruder on this system.
All right. Jacob, KG7EQN wants to know, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most difficult to build, what score would you give that Morse 32?
Actually, I'd give it a 3 or so. And the only reason I do that is because of how delicate and prone to breakage the visual part of it is, the display. Very, very, very touchy. And I actually broke one when I first tried to assemble the kit. And so I had to get another one from the manufacturer, which took a couple weeks. So that would be the only thing that would make that a 3, surprisingly, for as sophisticated as it is.
Okay, there you go. And Jacob also says, and I would agree, I still love the Xtronic soldering iron recommendation. So
yeah, those have been very good, and
they really have.
They're really good for the money. They hold the temperature real nicely, very precise control. And I have not talked to them lately. I'm going to contact them since I'm home a lot more, and maybe visit them across town here and see what they have. They are distributed from here in Lincoln.
Yeah, they've been very gracious to us for Yoda too, and really appreciate.
Very great supporters. Very great supporters of Yoda.
Definitely appreciate their donation of the soldering stations to use for our kit build coming up next summer. So 859-982-7373 is the phone number if you'd like to call in and ask a question. 859-982-7373, or you can tweet us or comment. And I put it off. I didn't say it, but I think we finally got the audio issues taken care of, because as sure as I say it's going to act up. But we've had some terrible audio issues the last couple of weeks, thanks to your friendly Windows update, and found what it messed up. So I think we finally got it. Okay, Trip K5TRP wants to know what was the soldering iron they mentioned. So yeah, so maybe you need to fill them in a little bit on Xtronic here.
Yeah, it comes from xtronikusa.com. And this particular iron is in the 3000 series. And it has a digital display. It sells for roughly around $60, and if you have Amazon Prime, you can get free shipping on it. They do sell through eBay stores directly also, and through Amazon. And it has, like I said, digital display. You can switch it from Celsius to Fahrenheit. It has a sponge tip cleaner and a nice holder for your iron, but it also has a brass and flux type tip cleaner on it as well, and a soldering roll holder, so your roll of solder does not go all over the table and so forth. So, when you're talking for $60 and getting something that's that precise, and it takes Heiko tips. So the tips are widely available, and they also sell extra tips as well.
While we're talking about soldering irons, and we've talked about this on the show before, but since we've got a couple people here listening that were not familiar with that, talk a little bit about having, and instead of just the old $2 wood burner, which does work for some things. Talk about the advantages of having the temperature controlled iron.
Well, it's actually a real must, and the reason is because the unregulated irons get way too hot when they're not being used. And when you use them, then they cool off and sometimes are below the temperature that you want to flow the solder. And because they are so hot, it can damage the printed circuit board by actually melting the leads off of the board. And so the other thing is that those, like you call them, wood burners that you can get for $5 or $6, the tips are usually not very small either. And we're dealing with connections that are pretty small. And so by having the controlled temperature, you have a much, much, much greater chance of success. And let's go into the solder a bit too. My doctor's prescription for solder is 6337, which is called a eutectic solder. It flows a lot better. It wets the connection. It flows through on a double-sided board, makes a very strong connection, has very little plastic state, which means that not prone to getting cold solder joints. And what I recommend is 031 or 025 thickness, rosin core, no clean. And it makes for a very nice looking solder job. On the bottom of the board, you might see little tiny pieces of clear flux on there, which cleans off very easily with alcohol. But you're not going to have those ugly brown blobs of flux that flow away from the connection.
Okay, good stuff. All right, give us a call, 859-982-7373 if you have a question. Well, we said we were going to throw in a bonus kit to cover here, so tell us about this other kit. Not CW kit, though.
No, it's not CW. It lets you do FT8 and other sound card modes. It's called the FT8 Phaser, and it comes from Midnight Design Solutions, and you can look them up on the web. And the FT8 Phaser is a digital mode transceiver, but it has a DDS synthesizer in it and two buttons on the front panel. The first one is defaulted to the FT8 frequency, and there's a way to play with the buttons, kind of using them like a key or paddle in the programming mode. You can program the alternate frequency button, which is the right button on the front panel, and that can be set for like where FT4 is, like 14080, or you could set it to 070 to get onto the Olivia mode frequency or Hellschreiber or any of the other digital modes. This thing will do all those. It is a single sideband transceiver in that it transmits single sideband but receives double. And so the idea being that you don't take up as much bandwidth when you transmit as opposed to the DSB transceiver kits. Now there's 4 toroids to wind, and one of them is a bifilar. Now the good news is they already twist the wires together for you, and all the parts actually for the entire kit are already identified for you and pre-taped to these cards that are almost the size of like a 3x5 card. And you put them in a shoebox or one of those plastic shoe boxes for storage. And you can put the cards in there and you can pick your parts off of those cards as you build the kit. So you don't have to sort the parts out like I always preach in my seminars. It's already done for you in this kit. Okay, so there you go. You get another one. You get 3 for the price of 2 tonight. And since it's a free show, you got all 3 of them for free. So 859-982-7373 if you have a question about those. Let's talk a little bit about, here we go again, the pandemic. Have you seen any supply issues, any shortages, anything like that going on? I know for a while there was some stuff, but any news on that front? Things are slowly getting back to normal, or at least almost normal. There are supply issues, and lately there's been postal delivery issues, especially on international mail. there's just odd shortages that show up with certain components and so forth that the kit makers have to deal with. So it's a lot better than it was before, but there are still some odd supply chain issues.
Okay. Well, I hadn't had a chance to tell you this. We got a note from the supplier of our kits for Yoda Camp, and they said, make sure you check the ferrite rods because we had somebody get a bunch of these and they were all broken. And Jocelyn finally was able to go through those last weekend. We found 4. So apparently they had made a bad batch, and so we did find 4 that they're going to replace for us. But
those are great little 80 meter. Those are the 80 meter DF kits. Those are very good. Yeah. I have one.
Yeah, they're good kits, but something just went wrong in the manufacturing in the middle of all of that stuff and delayed everything. And apparently they got it a little wrong on the ferrite rods, but we're getting replacements for those. So there may be some little things like that, pop up. And I know I got a shipment from Spain. Actually, it wasn't electronic stuff, but it was like a month late. So it just depends on where it's coming from. But there may be some random things out there. But
I would say not expect the normal delivery times for just about anything for a while. But the good thing is that we're home and we're safe and we're able to spend that extra time that normally I'd get to see all of you people. We can spend some of it building kits, and then next time I see everybody at Hamfest, you can show me the kits you put together, and I can take a picture of you with your wonderful kit building work.
Hey, there we go. Now that leads me to the other question I had was, are you seeing a big surge in kit building here?
Yes, very much so. Most of the kit makers are telling me that there is definitely increased demand because people have more time on their hands, and especially in the hottest part of the summer and colder parts of the winter, people stay in their house more in normal times, but now they stay home a lot more often anyways because they're not traveling very far. And they're spending the time to get the right tools and the right stuff and have success building their kits.
And speaking of the tools, Chris, AA4CB says the 3000 station is great to use. His YL bought one on your recommendation and well bit, and get the extra tips in different sizes was his suggestion. So thanks for that, Chris. What's your Hamfest schedule looking like? Are you booking anything here? Or
actually,
I'm doing more dead.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm sitting on like 4 or so plane ticket refund vouchers, and I've been doing a lot of Zooms. In fact, I'm almost averaging a couple a week I'm doing. So a lot of local clubs are taking advantage of the fact that they're doing Zoom presentations and they don't have to fly me in. So I've been doing lots of Zoom presentations and making recommendations for kits for them to build as a group through Zoom. And I only have one Hamfest that insists that they're holding it, and that's in Iowa. But we'll see as that one gets closer. But I'm probably not going to go anyways if things are going the way they are.
Yeah, it's sad because I don't get to a bunch of Hamfests, but the ones that I do I really enjoy, and it's been a long time since I've been to a Hamfest in my world anyway. So I'm ready to go back, but we're dealing with it as we can. John W4USF wants to know any Heathkit builds in your distant past.
I did a Hot Water 7. I did like 3 Heathkit hybrid phone patches. I did a Heathkit Keyer. and when I was cleaning out stuff, I discovered that I have an RTTY interface kit that puts out serial data that I have not started, and it was sealed away. So it's one of those unbuilt Heathkit treasures, and I'm debating putting it together.
Yeah.
And because somebody said, well, it's going to be worth a lot more if you don't touch it, but if you don't do it, what's it going to do? So
right.
it might be an interesting column to write about. It comes from the 1980s.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I remember the code oscillator, the paddles, and I found those. I was so glad to find those because I looked everywhere at my parents' house trying to find those things. And way back in the back of one drawer, I finally found those paddles that I helped build. That was Heath kit. That's probably been my favorite kit build. And I must have been like 9, 8, something like that.
Yep. The other thing I've been doing is collecting things on my wall, so it's kept me busy.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that here in a minute. And John's like, yeah, that's money you got there in that unbuilt Heathkit ready interface. So, that's a tough call there. Well, we're about out of time here, but yeah, let's talk about a couple of things that have gone up on your wall here. Congratulations on a couple of really cool awards. Now, I knew about the YASME Award because that's big news. But tell us a little bit about the YASME Award, and then we'll talk about this other one that I didn't know about.
Yeah, the YASME Award, the YASME Foundation was founded by the Colvins, who would take their sailboat all over the world back in the 60s and so forth. And I used to listen to them as a shortwave listener before I even got my license. And they went on expeditions to all these rare islands on their boat. And then after they passed away, there was created this foundation that finances expeditions, but now they also, since I think 2006 or 2007, put out one or two awards called the YASME Award of Excellence, and I was awarded that for my kit building teaching like we're doing tonight, and that was totally by surprise and very, very humbling. It was just a total shock. And so up on my shelf above my HF rig is this beautiful cut crystal globe, and it's not light either. It's pretty heavy.
Well, that's a great award and well deserved. And then there's the Navy in Nebraska.
Well, in Kentucky, and you've been there a few times.
Oh, yeah.
Kentucky has an award called Kentucky Colonels, and you're entitled to use the term Kentucky Colonel in your name if you have one of those. Well, Nebraska has admirals in the great Navy of the state of Nebraska. And, of course, we're a landlocked state by 3 states. You have to go through 3 states before you can even touch water from here, at least ocean, or the Great Lakes. So they have the Great Navy of the state of Nebraska. And actually, it's considered Nebraska's highest honor. And a nonprofit organization in Omaha nominated me because they saw a social media post about my production with the 3D printer of face shields for Lincoln Fire and Rescue for the pandemic. And so I get this package from Governor Pete Ricketts, and it says I'm an admiral in the Great Navy of the state of Nebraska, and that sits below my clock.
Wow, that's a neat thing. So congratulations on that as well, and nice job with all the face shields, and I bought one the other day, and I'm kind of thinking it may start getting put to use next week if that's allowable. I've got to go back face to face to school to work, so may pull one of those out.
Yep, they're very worthwhile. And I see somebody asked about QRP transceiver kits.
Jim, N5 JVG.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there. I would say for your first QRP transceiver kit, I would recommend the Cricket series of CW transceiver kits from the 4-state QRP group. And they're just about as simple as a Pixie, except for the receiver performance is incredible. I mean, absolutely incredible. And they run on a 9-volt transistor battery. The CW straight key is part of the kit. You don't have to wind any toroids because it has spiral wound coils, and it's designed by David Kripe, NM0S, who is a engineer for Collins Aerospace. That's Collins Radio in Cedar Rapids. And it's a very simple CW transceiver. It's fixed frequency. You plug in a crystal, but if you have different crystals for the same band, you can interchange those. And it has a great, like I said, a great receiver. It sounds nice, and it runs on a 9-volt transistor battery. And every one that we put together as group kit builds puts out a full watt of CW. And very simple to build.
Well, there you go. Thanks for asking the question, Jim. And that's good recommendation. Those Crickets are pretty cool, and they've got a whole line. Yeah, there's 80, 40, and 30 meter versions from the 4-state QRP group. All right. Well, let's check here over on Twitter and make sure we've got everything, but I think we've addressed all the questions tonight. Looks like we have. So Joe, any parting comments here before we go? Just if you have any questions, of course, I'm listed on QRZ, and I hope to at some point put a web page up that has all the links to kits that I mentioned and kit manufacturers that make several kits. Try to get all that kind of listed in one place and keep the data up to date. I keep busy with the 3D printer and making lots of presentations, and I truly enjoy being on your show, Neil. Well, we enjoy you being here, and we try to do that every so often, and we appreciate you jumping in here tonight and talking about some CW kits and some other kit building stuff, and look forward to seeing you. It's been a little while. I think it's St. Louis, I think. Yeah, I think that's what it was in January. Yeah, so hopefully we'll get back on the Hamfest trail here before too long. So, well, we're gonna say that's a wrap for this week's edition of Ham Talk Live. Thanks to my guest, Joe Eisenberg, K0NEB, and everybody out there in cyberspace for listening and typing in tonight. And invite you back next Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Andy Maluzzi, KK4LWR, and Tony Maluzzi, KD8RTT, will be here. And they're going to talk about the Collegiate QSO Party. So check that out. And for a list of all of our upcoming guests, visit hamtalklive.com. And if you like the show, please leave us a review. That helps others find the show faster, and it's kind of nice to hear from you. So please do that. All right. So for now, this is Neil Rapp, WB9VPG, saying 7375, and may the good DX be yours.